did.
Loc Talk. Loc Talk.
You did.
Welcome to episode 6 of the Loc Talk podcast with Karen and Brian.
Welcome back, everybody. Another episode of Loc Talk. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Karen. Hey, Kris. Nice to see you again.
Hey, what's up, people? Good to see
We're
people. I see today you're going Snoop Dogg on us.
I know, right?
I just got these new peepers.
I need me some of those so I can look like a rapper, you know?
They're a little too reflective.
Anyway, how you doing, man? Yeah. Oh,
Right?
awesome. They look cool, man.
Oh, thank you.
They look cool. Yeah.
Well, we have a little surprise before we start. And
Yeah, we have a little bit of an announcement before we jump into things.
so
Yesterday was Kris's birthday. Happy birthday, Kris!
Oh.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Kris. Happy
Thank you.
Birthday to you.
So this
Thank you
is
very much. So you can mail me all that.
vegan banana,
Huh?
and this is a vegan walnut
Oh.
cookie with raspberry jam. So first you have to blow out the candles. Blow them out. Good job.
There you are.
And which one do you want?
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll take the bread.
Okay. We're FedExing it
Thank
right
you very much.
after.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Did you have a good day
I
yesterday?
appreciate that. Yes, I did. My family had a lot of surprises for me. My wife got me shoes. I love shoes. Oof. I'm always obsessed with shoes. So I love it. She got me some nice Jordans.
Good.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, yeah. So yeah,
So, talking
feels
Yeah.
good to be older.
yeah.
We had some really cool Jordans
Yeah,
that we'll have to show you one day with our logos on them. Right, Karen?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Some Jordans with your logo on them? That would be
yeah.
awesome.
They're Air Force Ones. We got them customized by one of my clients' son. He goes by Kicks by Shay, and he's on Instagram. You should check him out. So we
Yeah.
have Noggin Oil and
I'm gonna
Dreadlocks.
write that down.
Noggin Oil and
Kicks by Shay.
Kicks by Shay.
I'll send you a photo.
Let me
of
write
what
that
they
down
look
so I can check him. Yeah, Kicks by Shay.
like. Yeah.
Shay is S-H-A-Y?
E-A.
No, SHEA, I think.
E-A.
Yeah.
Oh, E-A. Okay, I'm gonna check him out and surprise him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking about the future of dreadlocks, and I realized we can't talk about the future of dreadlocks before we talk about how far they've come.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
True.
So you ready to start it out?
Let's go.
So first of all, we have to establish something, which we have established before, that every indigenous human definitely had locks in one moment in time because there were no combs. And secondly, they didn't have access to water, which means they hardly washed their hair. Wherever they were on the planet, there wasn't insufficient, whether they were hunters or gatherers, they didn't have that sufficiency of time to be like, okay, now let's wash our hair. I don't think so. And actually, when you think about washing, it's something that came in the 17th century.
17th
I remember reading that Queen Victoria, or was it Queen Elizabeth, showered only twice in her life. The day she was born and the day she gave birth. I was like, what the heck? I was like, that was normal. It's the reason why they invented underwears. So that people don't have to take showers, they can just change their underwears.
Did you know that's why
That was the whole
perfume
reason
invented?
behind the underwears and undergarments.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfume
so
was
that people don't
invented.
take showers. It's the reason why. So that people don't take showers. And it was the reason why for dates, men would give women flowers so that I don't want to hear you stink.
Is that still
That
going
was the
on? you
reason why
think?
flowers were invented, to give someone. Exactly. I'm like, this is supposed to be an insult, but we still do it. You know, because why do you need flowers if you already have fragrance? I should be buying. I'm like, but women like it, so you're obligated to. I don't know about you, Brian, but I buy flowers probably every month, twice.
What?
I'm like,
Really?
Oh, we buy.
yeah,
We have
it's like,
flowers
yeah,
in the
because
house all the
it-
time.
it-
I love flowers.
yeah,
I
it buys
don't-
me a lot of happiness.
I
You need to
my
tell the
husband-
Viking. You need to tell. I need to talk to Fluky. Tell Fluky we have a discussion to have.
I tell my husband, don't give me flowers. I don't want flowers.
That's
I
good.
think the flower industry is very strange. I'm like, keep them in the garden, but I don't need it in a in a vase that's gonna like die.
In a pot. Die. I get that. Yeah, if it's you, not Fluky, then we can agree on that. You know, so suddenly he has a name. I like his name, Fluky.
Certain times
so
of the
anyway,
year.
so from the indigenous humans, yeah? Pardon?
Well, I was just saying certain times of the year, like
He said some. So from the beginning of
wow, I think there's a delay.
Yeah. So anyway, and we have to understand that the humans, as we know of, history doesn't give us the truth about human beings. Humans are 200,000 years old. We have evolved in so many times. We have had industrial evolutions that have been over and over, but just now we are beginning to understand that some of the pyramids are 13 years old, 11,000 years old. You know, like the Sphinx, it's 11,000 years old. Like, how can that be? We thought that humans are just 5,000 years old. It's like, those people were there. And then from those people, we definitely know that they had dreadlocks on. Then you look into the Greeks, you look into the Vikings, you look into the Romans, you look into now when you get into Africa, you look into the pharaohs. All those people adorn them for whatever reasons that we don't understand. The indigenous African tribes had them. So it was there in every indigenous culture. The Aborigines, the American Indians had them.
Yes.
What's the name of that? The Mayans had them. All those old historical cultures had them in them. And then somewhere along the line, it gets phased off. When now we become civilized and now we need to look sophisticated because the philosophers and the scribes had a certain look and everybody wanted to identify themselves with that look. And so people started cutting their hair to look specifically based on the class that they were in. And so the roughness was left for butchers and farmers and all those other people who didn't need to look good to go into a congregation or something. And then religion came in and religion required people to look a specific way. Religion has a way of putting people in a specific box. And then, so dreadlocks were phased off for a very long time in history, apart from the indigenous tribes of Africa that there was no civilization going on. They walk back into history at the time of civil war in America when we talked about that when the all black military group was sent over to annihilate the American Indians, which is sad because that story no one wants to talk about, you know. But they had them, and the African warriors that were there that we talked about. But then something interesting happens in that period of the 50s to the 60s. There was an evolution that came in of consciousness where LSD and weed and mushrooms and people are becoming more spiritually awakened to understand themselves. And so the government realized that when people become that, they don't care about society or how they look. And so they would keep on their dreadlocks and be free spirits and wear whatever colors they wanted, regardless of who thought anything about them. And so the government put a ban as first-class drugs on all hallucinogens. These are drugs that never killed anybody, drugs that no one ever OD'd on, but they were put on top of every other crack cocaine and every other drug. They were put on top there, and they were identified with dreadlocks to ensure that people don't take them. So everybody who had dreadlocks was seen as a bad person because the government had ensured that happened. And actually, I always say, Bob Marley didn't die of lung cancer suddenly. They had to kill him with lung cancer so that they can show if you smoke too much weed, you're going to die of lung cancer. And that's not the case. I know people have smoked cigarettes all their lives and they never had lung cancer. Cancer doesn't get you because you're smoking. Lung cancer doesn't get you because you're smoking. There's so many other things to be looked at before you get there. But anyway, that's my conclusion. It's the same reason why Steve Jobs had prostate cancer, because he denied his daughter. When you think about it, you're like, how are these correlated? You're like, there must be a conspiracy behind these. You know, Chris talks too much. You're like, oh, his voice, he had something with his voice. These people know how to catch people very well. I strongly believe that. But anyway, that movement killed, and made dreadlocks look like a bad thing. It's for bad people. And so for a long time, our parents can't allow us. The generation that was there before us couldn't allow from anywhere, parents from anywhere from the 50s, people who were born in the 50s were told this is bad. So anyone who was born from the 70s just couldn't enjoy them because you're just considered a thief or a bad person. And then we step into the 90s. And suddenly we have these rock bands that came in, the 80s actually. We have these rock bands that came in that just, just brought back the vibe, And when that vibe came in, people again started to vibe them back in. And people started to adorn Locs again.
Yeah.
And then the rappers started to wear them all over in the 90s and all that movement of hip hop culture. And then suddenly it became a cool thing to have dreadlocks on, and it's still a cool thing until now. But still, we still have those people who think, are they dirty? Those people, are you taking any drugs? And I usually tell people, more people smoke weed that don't have dreadlocks than those who have dreadlocks on. Consider that. And I'm like, if you smoke weed, look at everybody who you smoke weed and see how many of them have dreadlocks. You'll find out it's probably only you or no one else has them. I'm like, it's not associated. It has no relationship. Weed has no relationship with dreadlocks at all.
That's right.
You smoke weed because you want to smoke weed, not because you want to have this hair. It's completely two different reasons.
Yeah, for sure.
You get it? Like if whatever I drink my water, whether I have hair or not, I'll still drink my water. You get what I mean? So anyway, now we're in an age where now when people stay with dreadlocks, they think you're somebody. And that's what I love about it. And I live in United Arab Emirates, which most people call Dubai. And last time, Brian, I was telling you about it. Most people just know Dubai. They don't know it's United Arab Emirates, and there are 7 different Emirates. And Dubai is just one of them. But being here, there's over 175 different nationalities. I've been able to do 78 different nationalities hair. Different from every continent. I've done somebody's hair from Venezuela. I had a guy from Venezuela. I'm like, Venezuela? From Sweden? I'm like, dude, he came all over from Sweden to get his hair done. I'm like, man, I feel like a rock star. Just give me my money now, But here, when you have dreadlocks in Dubai, you're treated like a god. I'm telling you.
Really?
There is no single day I walked out of my house and somebody didn't tell me how great I looked. I have people stopping me just to love on me, like, dude, I like your style. I used to have this big beard, but my wife said color it, and it was all white and black, like a salt and pepper. It was a big beard that I left. And people would stop me like, I like your hair. I like your beards. Your style of dressing. Man, you're cool. Who are you? I'm like, I'm just a regular guy. Like people, and I'm not talking about going to the gym. Like if I walk from my house to the gym, either going or coming back, somebody is gonna tell me I have nice hair. Mm-hmm. Like my wife gets jealous all the time because when we walk to the mall, somebody is gonna stop me and say, nice style. Like this country is in another level of appreciation of humans.
Wow.
Yes, you still have ignorant people who will ask you, how do you wash your hair? And yes, you still have people who will look at you when you walk into the lift and they'll be like, okay, who's this guy? And I get that because when you have dreadlocks, you have that lion feeling that people look at you and be like, okay, whoa, Yeah. And I say that's the word dread. It means awe. I mean, if you saw an angel, what would you feel like? You'd be like, that's an angel, man, Like, wow, yeah. I have some respect here. Exactly. So I'm expecting the same everywhere I walk. I walk with that aura of confidence like a lion, like, I'm here. Where's my respect? And I expect people to feel like, when I look at people, I expect them to look at me with respect, Yeah. And when I walk to the police stations here in Dubai, they're like, Bob Marley. They greet you with respect so much. I'm like, I'm telling you, this is a different. One time I'm driving with my wife. I'll tell you this story. I'm driving with my wife. And then I saw the police. I was in a T intersection. The black mind is always to set yourself up because we're not so friendly with the police. So you set yourself up and like, okay, am I high? No. Is this my car? Did I steal it? Do I have anything under the hood? Like in your mind, you start, having this checklist of yourself. It's like you saw your mom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The police took a left and the guy who was driving waved at me like this. Oh, it blew my head up. Like, whoa, did you just wait? I told my wife, did you just see that? He was like, I can't believe it. I'm like, whoa, like the police are that cool. He was like, so,
Wow.
I went like, oh, awesome. Like, where does the police become that cool? You know, like, and it's not one time, not two times. I'm telling you.
But I
you want to say something, Karen?
Yes. It is also the energy that you are putting out there.
For sure.
Right? What you give is what you get. And so I can completely understand it and relate to that. When you feel your best self and you know your value and you know your worthiness in the world.
Yes.
People will resonate with that. People will feel that energy, even if they can't tap into it. They just, it shakes them.
You're right. Absolutely right about that.
But also,
people will resonate with that.
There's so many people now in the public eye that have Locs. People like very well-known musicians and athletes, and I mean, you're talking about angels. In many ways, these people are like angels walking around. They're making all this money, they're super successful. And so I think a little bit of that rubs off on us as well.
It has in a very tremendous way, because people look at us like superstars.
Yeah, for sure.
And now every young generation wants to have it.
Yeah.
Every young generation now wants to have it. The next
Once
generation.
in a lifetime.
So I foresee, yes, you remember that, once in a lifetime. That's my goal, and should be our goal, is that every young person, everybody who's on the planet, whoever, once in a life, even if it's a fake dreadlocks they'll have on, everybody should have dreadlocks once in their lifetime.
Yeah, for sure.
And I foresee the future of dreadlocks, where it's going, is gonna be that thing that two things is gonna happen. One, it's gonna be like tattoos. It used to be seen as gangsters and people who've been to prison, and military people and sailors. Now you have a tattoo? Huh? Oh, so you got a tattoo. People don't go, wow, you got a tattoo. Right. Oh my God, you're so strong, like, yeah. No, so it's like, now if you don't have a tattoo, people look at you, you don't have a tattoo? You're afraid of pain? Huh, you're weird. Like, it's, it's like, why don't you have a tattoo? Why should I have a tattoo? You're like, no, I'm not supposed to have a tattoo. It's a personal choice. That's the way dreadlocks will be. Like, people like, oh, my boyfriend has dreadlocks. So
okay,
it's not supposed to be like, okay, I bought Jordans yesterday. Why are you telling me this?
Do you have a tattoo, Kris?
Yes, I have 6 of them.
Brian, do you have a tattoo?
I do.
Yeah.
What about you? You don't have any?
Oh yeah, no, I've got a few. My husband has no tattoos, and my brother has no tattoos.
What?
My partner has no tattoos.
Yeah, and you're right. It's strange, isn't it?
Yeah, that's where dreadlocks are going. Like, why doesn't he have a tattoo?
Why doesn't he have dreadlocks?
And people, you've never had dreadlocks in your whole life, in your 40? In your whole life, you didn't think about having that? Like, really? Like, okay, tell us more. I want to hear more about you, because you're weird. Like, okay, which religion do you go to again? Like, okay, because are you sure? I know vegans who have dreadlocks on. It hasn't to do with sexual orientation. Tell me, what do you have any sickness in your head or anything? That's where we're going, where everybody will be normalized.
Yeah.
And in the airports, and and it will be normal for pilots to have it. Now in the military, the US is accepting people to have it. So it's gonna get that where it's just gonna be normal to have everything.
And it's gonna change with the generations as the generations grow up.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But my dream is to come to that place where you said about energy, and which is accountability, where if you're going to wear this hair, you're going to represent the people who wear this hair.
Yeah.
So that if you have this indiscipline, if you're indisciplined, it means all of us are looked at the same way. You get it? So that energy that resonates in each one of us has to be a vibe and a tribe where people will now come to the point where they're like, people who have dreadlocks behave in a specific way. You get what I mean? Just like we know, if you see someone, you don't need to be told she's a nun or a monk. You look and you're like, they dress a specific way and it's decent, and they speak in a specific manner, which is decent. And that's my dream for dreadlocks people, so we can be a tribe that people can look at and respect, so that if your son or daughter or your friend says, I want to have dreadlocks on, you'll be like, that's a good idea. You know, you will be like, oh, why? You know, you're going to be stopped. No, the police will be like, those people have dreadlocks. If someone with dreadlocks walks into a club, they know that he's going to be a peacekeeper. He's not going to be the one starting a fight. And that will start by us being accountable to each other from the behaviors that we have in the streets. You know, like when I post something, be like, Kris, what was that? You're not representing the tribe well. I'll be like, Karen, what was that? You know, like, so when we start having accountability with each other, then we start moving in a tribal way, so that we can build up a culture that people will be like, I want to be part of that culture, because those people have love for each other, regardless of their religion. You can be Muslim and still have, you can be Christian, you can be Jew, you can be Mormon, regardless of social status. You could be a billionaire or you could be broke. It doesn't matter, regardless of your skin color, regardless of your sexual orientation, especially, because I don't get why someone is offended over someone else's choice. I get really angry when people say things that be like, listen, we all weird. No one knows how weird we are. Everyone is weird. We're not going to talk about it. So let the people who want to be weird, be weird. You're weird. And I know you, and no one can tell me they're not weird. If we had a video of your life in private, no, you wouldn't want people to see you in private. So I know how weird I am, and I respect people who are not ashamed to come out and say, listen, I'm a weirdo and I know it. And you know, you can do whatever you want. I'm like, listen, I know I'm a weirdo and I'm going to keep it myself. Does it make sense?
When I was a kid,
all this regardless of
weird.
Huh?
When I was a kid, I always was told I was weird.
Me too.
And I embraced it, right? Like
weird.
You know, I mean, they would try to say it as a negative thing, right? You know, like, you're weird. And it's just like, well, yeah, like.
And yeah, there's a weird
and now you look
to having this hair as well, a little bit, if you think about it, because it's out of the box.
He's weird.
And Saiyan Style,
you know,
just one more thing about Saiyan Style, which is Anne Marie's company. I asked her about her brand name, and it's spelled S-E-I-E-N Style, Saiyan Style. And and the direct translation, it was Japanese, wasn't it?
Yep.
Direct translation is weirdly beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That's super powerful.
Yeah.
Now talking about weirdness, there's one characteristics I know about people with dreadlocks, which we all know it, and when I say it, you're gonna understand it. People with dreadlocks don't care much about other people's opinions about themselves. True. They have crossed over there. Like, for you to have this hair, you have just said to yourself, you know what, mom? I don't think I want to know what you're gonna think about me. It just doesn't matter. The society, you'll be like, you know, F you society. I'm like, I'm gonna do whatever I want. That's one characteristic from observing my clients. Like, these people have the courage to face the odds of not being normal. They have the courage to be weird and stick out their weirdness. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm like, this is something that is beautiful. Like, if we can remember that amongst ourselves and be like, listen, we're a tribe, and we need to come up with a way of greeting each other when we see each other and be like, listen, I got your back, you know? And we can have a movement like Chinese and be like, listen, we're just gonna have products from dreadlocks people. Like, you have a top, I'm wearing Jordans now, and be like, nah, I wanna wear the mudlock shoes. You know, like, so now we are a tribe of our own, establishing who we are and, you know, delivering all that we are. Be like, okay, Kris, what did you come up with? The chains? Yeah, okay, I'm getting that chain too, you know? I'm not getting chains. Don't worry about it. But you get what I mean? Like, we're a tribe now, and we stick together as a tribe, and we grow together as a tribe. That's the future where I see dreadlocks going.
And support each other.
That point where it's just beautiful. And support each other regardless. It's just going to be one tribe that everybody is invited into the cookout, regardless of who they are, where they're from. You know, you tell Floki whether he has dreadlocks or not, he was invited to come for the cookout. You know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the way I see the future going to the place where now it's not a stereotype anymore. It's normal.
Yeah.
It's just normal. We're just normal. You go to an interview, they'll just look at you and be like, okay, so you have dreadlocks. So let's look at to see if they're more focused on who you are and not what you outwardly look, because it's not important
But it's
how you
interesting.
look outside. It's not important. It's important your thoughts and your emotions.
I know that I've had clients who have gone to job interviews with their dreadlocks, and they've got the job because of them as being a positive stereotype, that they're creative, and as you say, they're open-minded, and they have some self-confidence about them, right? So those are the positives that come from it, and we just want to make that more of it.
In Toronto,
yes.
in Toronto, the salon that I own, World Salon, we have a lot of corporate people, we have a lot of artists, we have a really broad range of different clients, and a lot of my clients are pretty successful in business, and so I'm making a pact here today that one of my CEOs is gonna have locks within a year.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. I appreciate that. That's good.
See some CEOs with locks.
Yes.
Yes, we want to see that. And also, something else I want to see in the future of dreadlocks is we have those clients, but we need to feature them more. Like whether it's taking pictures and say this guy is an architect. You know, I take a picture of my client as an architect and say this is an architect. This is a doctor. You know, this is a prime nurse. This guy, you know, is an engineer. So that people can actually see this guy is a managing IT. So that people can see and be like, so you could actually still be a professional. Look, when we start bringing out those professions in a large scale, then people start appreciating more of, okay, they're not just rock stars, you know, or painters, you know, because now it's associated with, okay, you have to be a singer, a painter, you know, or some sculptor, you know, you're an artist to the what, a poet or something is like, and you know, for a long time, these jobs were not seen as jobs. They're still not seen as jobs. You tell your mom you're just about to be a poet, they'd be like, huh? You know? You know?
So how are you going to make a living?
I come from a place where, thank you. I was asked that question so many times because I was a painter and a fitness instructor. And everybody was like, how are you going to pay for college for your kids? I'm like, I have a job. Like, with paintings, are you going to sell paintings? Yeah. You know, and from that skill of working with my hands, that's how I got into dreadlocks, and I became that became my sole source of income, to such a point where people look at me and like, you just make money out of making dreadlocks? I'm like, yes, and I work 4 days a week only.
That's amazing.
I work 8 hours only for 4 days a week, and the rest of the days I chill. Like, really? I'm like, yeah.
Yep.
That's how good life is. You go to a 9 to 5 every day. I'm like, I quit my 9 to 5. I did have a 9 to 5. I'm like, no, this is not the life I picked. This is not the life I picture myself living, where every day you're stressed out by somebody screaming down your throat because they don't like themselves enough to like you.
The problem,
you know what I mean? And projecting their
has to
inadequacies to you, you know?
The problem is somebody has to do that job.
Yes. If that's your passion, then you do it. But that's not for me. You know, everybody has to establish, you know, I was having a conversation in my head about the future when I'm going to be interviewed as an entrepreneur and be like, what do you think about entrepreneurs? I'm like, we have to understand that not everybody will be an entrepreneur. Otherwise, who's going to work those jobs?
Yeah.
You know, if you start your own Google, who's going to come and work for you in IT? So some people have to say to themselves, you know what? I'm that guy who's going to grow and be the best employee ever. You're going to identify yourself and ask yourself, what did your dad used to do? Your dad before him, your mom used to do, the mom before him. And see your generation and see if they were all 9 to 5, you're probably going to be a 9 to 5.
And this,
You know, but if they own a business somewhere, you probably should be looking into that direction. No?
I wanted
You're
to
saying
ask,
something, Brian.
yeah, I wanted to ask you about your courses, and can you tell us how long it took you to ramp up? Tell us what the process was when you started doing your online courses.
Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't want to. I'm a traditional teaching kind of guy, sit in class and start teaching people because that's what I know as a personal trainer. You know, I know how to sit down with people and direct them. So I was waiting to get my US visa and then go to the US and then start teaching people. But then, and I was doing good doing hair. I'm like, so, but then COVID hit, and when COVID hit, people don't come to your house. I work from my house. I went broke, dead broke. Like the money that you saved suddenly is just going out, you know? And then you start looking and thinking, okay, it's been 3 months now. And then in Dubai, we had a 24 hours lockdown. That people walking out, let's say, I no mask in my life. That doesn't happen here. You don't have a mask, you get fined.
Yeah.
$1,000 for not wearing a mask. $1,000 for not wearing a mask. And they put it on your ID. It means you can't get there's so many things you can't do without your ID because they're going to tax you. You can't even leave the country. You're in the system. You owe the government.
Wow.
They won't even let you leave the country. So it's that serious. Here, the government doesn't joke with like, so it was 24 hours lockdown for a month. We couldn't leave the house. You needed permission from the government to go to the supermarket. Wow. And that's what brought the cases all the way, like almost to the downfall. And then from there, we had a curfew before and after the lockdown. We had a curfew where you can't go out. And even after the curfew, people won't come to get hair done because I'm a public place. You know what I mean? It's to get your hair done. So business was dead, like dead. And I was like, okay, I've been wanting to teach. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start teaching. And I posted, I said, I'm teaching. I already have a curriculum with me, but I was waiting to start in advance. I was like, you know what? I can just transform this into quick courses, break it down, and see how it goes. If it fails, it fails. If it succeeds, it succeeds. I did my first class, boom. I was like 10 minutes into it, she's already learned. I was like, okay, wait a minute. How is that? How did she learn in 10 minutes? Like, okay, is it that easy? I was like, let me try with the next student. And then I was like, wow, I must be a very good teacher, you know? So then it started developing. I was like, okay, this curriculum is out now. The second curriculum is already out, which I also think, we don't talk about this, the future of Locs would be like, people can wear Locs for a weekend. You'll have lock extensions where you can hook them with a comb into your hair and wear them for a party and put them up. And then after the party or a wig, you can remove and hang it like any other wig.
Well, that was already popular in the 80s and the 90s. Those were dread falls.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, and that's what is coming back. And so people will be attaching them for summer. You have your dreadlocks for summer, then you remove them and put them, and then you're gonna use them again for the next summer. That's something that will be okay to do. So now I'm teaching lock extensions, how to make them, connect them. There's something I call the McDred flow because I don't like making extensions outside when I'm doing somebody's hair. I like to make extensions while I'm connecting them.
Me too.
That's much more faster for me. You know, like making them on the side is a lot of work to make them. Plus, someone will say that's too thick, that's too small. I want them like this. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make you the one you want and tell me, is this what you want? Yeah. Then now let's go. So I teach how to flow, and then on the other courses I teach how to crochet, to interlock. There's 7 different ways of interlocking, you know. And if I showed you, I have a video on YouTube that I posted 5 years ago. I interlock straight hair in such a way that you wouldn't even tell it has been.
Yeah, you mentioned that before. It's great.
It makes maintenance easy because you know crocheting is painful. Crocheting is very painful. So, and if you want to have very skinny locks, it's rare that you will find straight hair with this little locks like this size. It's very rare that you'll find people like now. Interlocking allows you to get them that skinny. I have people who almost have sister locks on straight hair. Like, how did you get them that small? I'm like, you just interlock them to get them that small, and then maintenance becomes easy. Then I have all the other systems. Yes, directly, and then I call it intercrocheting, and then you graze it with crochet to finish it.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny because I kind of done
zero
similar
maintenance.
techniques too, a little bit. But I know you have another class to teach, don't you?
Yes, I do.
So I'm watching the time. I think
I don't have the time here.
It's 2 minutes.
How much time do we have left?
Yeah, 2 minutes. You need to go.
Then it means I have 2 minutes to get to the next class.
Yeah.
This is good. Yeah. So actually, that's what
I think we promised.
Mm-hmm.
I think we promised our audience that we would meet one more time for one more conversation, and we will leave the.
We'll talk about the locking methods.
Okay.
Okay.
We didn't talk about the locking method, the traditional locking methods and the new locking methods and the future of the locking methods, which I've been studying, and I'm seeing things that are coming up that are going to shock you.
Okay.
They're not yet in the industry, but I've been looking and I'm like, we might be out of jobs sooner than later, just so you know.
Wow.
Yes,
Chris?
I was looking and I'm like, if these people are interlocking, I mean, if these people are locticians, the problem is they're not locticians, so they don't know what we know. If they knew what we know, they would phase us out.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Thank
but
you.
They don't know, so they
Thank
still need to employ us before they can get there.
Yes.
You know,
Always
yeah.
a great conversation. I am so happy we connected again. Thank you.
Thank you, Kris.
I appreciate you all. Nice to see you, Brian, again. Thank you for the cake.
You're welcome.
Karen, I really appreciate you. I'll see you in the next. Namaste.
Namaste. Peace out.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Thanks everybody for listening to another episode of Loc Talk. We drop a new one every Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find us on
Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And Loc Talk is sponsored by Noggin Oil. So we look forward to seeing you next week.
Bye-bye. Loc Talk! Loc Talk! Loc Talk!
It is.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Loc Talk with Karen and Brian.